2 series wins in a row. The Marlins had a 4-game win streak also sprinkled in there. This team is showing wonderful signs of life, and it is led by the pitching, the starting rotation, and the Nails bullpen. Going to dig into all of the reaction from over the weekend with the UK GOAT, of course, Shaun Barrett, on today's Locked On Marlins.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings from England and welcome to Locked On Marlins. This, of course, is your daily Marlins podcast, and I am your host, Peter Pratt. Hit me up, of course, on Twitter at Miami_Marlins_UK. For those that are paying very close attention, I don't think anyone should be, but I've just ticked over into 6,000 followers. Doesn't mean anything, but I just thought I'd call it out. If you are listening to the pod, hit subscribe. Of course, it's your team every day, every single day. And thanks for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. Yes, there is a YouTube channel. Head on over to there. Hit subscribe also. Give us a thumbs up. Put a comment in there, particularly if you're an everydayer. I want to hear from you guys. Who's the everydayers out there? Who's listening to every single episode? There's 5 episodes a week. I want to hear from you guys. Comment. Let me know that you're listening every single day. Delighted to welcome back, of course, the UK GOAT. It is Monday. It's Shaun Barrett. How are we doing, brother?
I'm doing well, Peter. Good weekend of baseball for myself. Both on the field and in front of the screen. So, the baseball season is fully in the flow in my life right now, and I couldn't get any better.
No doubt about it, mate. Just on that, just have to call out Shaun Barrett for the year is hitting 500. He has 2 stolen bags, probably leading the league. No grounded to double plays. He's not leading the league in stolen bags, but no grounded to double plays, correct?
No, just a line out.
Just a line out. There we go. Shaun Barrett is absolutely tearing it up. And I saw a really nice image that was taken of you in yesterday's game. There was some, without the long flowing hair at the back, there was definitely some Brandon Marsh vibes going on. I'm not going to lie, mate. The stance was looking impressive too, mate. But unfortunately, you guys didn't come out with a dub, but I believe you had, I don't want to say man of the match, it's not the right description, but play of the day, perhaps?
So we have a player of the day and play of the day.
Okay.
Now one of our pitchers, our GM, pitched an absolute gem, complete game. So he was fully deserving the accolade for sure.
Okay, fair enough. We'll be keeping you guys abreast of all of Shaun's endeavors on the baseball field all year long. Don't you worry about that. Before we get into the action, and there's been a ton of action over the weekend, the Marlins won another series, coming off a series win against the Phils. They then take on the Snakes, the Diamondbacks, and who are leading the NL West, by the way. We have to call it out. The Diamondbacks have started hot, and the Marlins sorted them out. No problem about it. But it's brought to you by Ultimate Baseball GM. And if you've ever dreamed of becoming an MLB GM and managing your baseball franchise, then this game is definitely for you. To download the game, just visit ultimatebaseballgm.com or look it up on the app stores. Our listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo Locked On, all in caps, in the game. Yes, sir. More about those guys later on. I am confident of that. Shaun Barrett, the Marlins, they had a chance to sweep. Going into Sunday, actually, there was a sweep opportunity, another blown sweep for the Marlins, and it was Sandy Alcantara against Zach Gallen. So what a matchup there. Let's not start with Sunday, though, mate. Let's go backwards. Trevor Richards and Braxton Garrett, leading the charge, let's say. But what I think was the most interesting piece was the lineup. It's fair to say on Friday, everyone losing their minds. This lineup looks absolutely terrible. Trevor Richards going. I mean, it's a Sunday lineup on a Friday. The Marlins find a way to get the dub. This is a new Marlins this year, right?
It is certainly a new Marlins. I mean, that lineup was deservedly attacked, and I was not maybe not leading the charge, but I was certainly part of the.
You definitely were, mate.
To get knocks from Hampton as well was funny. Avi as well. No, baseball's weird. It's really weird. When you put out a bad lineup, or you put out a weak lineup, I should say. Yeah. Compared, you're giving your key guys off. Jazz was off, Arise off. Yeah. Both needing a bit of a blow. And then all of a sudden you get for the Marlins, offensive explosion with a 5-run inning. Yeah. the rest of the game was a little bit slow to watch. But they once those 5 runs were scored, Arizona just never looked they were going to score. So
no,
it was quite a comfortable game in the end. And when you can win with that lineup, you can feel pretty confident going into any game.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, this is it. You take, Luis Arias out, fresh off pretty much hitting a cycle the other day. Take Arias out of the lineup. Jazz gets another, his first day off of the year. So Jazz and Arias, 2 of the studs you look to. You bring in, Hampson playing second base. Dela Cruz is playing center on that day. What we have to say is, and I want to talk about him as well at some point, is Dela Cruz is really starting to piece together a nice season thus far, and he's looking solid. He's kind of carrying on his spring. But for me, the interesting bit was Trevor Richards again. Like the pressure on Trevor. For me, this was his best outing, I would say, potentially since 2021. Like I feel like Trevor was that good and that sharp. And I think when we spoke last time, mate, we said we're going to need this bottom part of the rotation to step up. If they do, then this Marlins team will, of course, have a chance, because I feel like the offense does have the way to accumulate runs sometimes in patches, in bulk, in innings, in a single inning, which I'm kind of phrasing the paper cut inning. Like it feels like they wait for that to happen and they just get some momentum rolling. But to Trevor, mate, though, I don't know if you saw the whole game. You probably did, because you see every game. But was this potentially the best you've seen Trevor since 2021?
I think 100%. I think it is a case of it's been a dark stage for him for such a long period of time. Yeah. And for that to come off the back of the Eddie Cabrera start, where he looked, you can't even say back because he's never really been there. But Eddie had the one walk. I think it was one of the last at-bats that he had.
Yeah, it was late.
So he looked really back. Obviously, we know what Luzardo's done so far. So if Trevor can move forwards after this start, it was a real solid start. The Ks were there, the walks were down.
Yeah,
a little bit of length. That's pretty much all you need from these guys. I've talked to death about how they're young and they need to develop and progress and give the team more, because they've all got the talent. We know that.
Yeah.
To see that, I mean, we're living in a bizarro world where the Marlins win 4 games, piggybacked with the start of a Sandy loss and ends with a Sandy loss.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is completely opposite to what we're used to seeing.
It's completely wild, isn't it? The fact that, the bookend is 4-game win streak with 2 Sandy L's. So, it's this is maybe a nod maybe to potentially how good this Marlins team could be this year, maybe, where the reality is Jazz has not started that hot offensively. Sandy Alcantara not started that hot. Like 2 of the All-Stars from last year, neither are linchpins. They haven't got themselves going yet. Through 5 series, mate, they've won 3 series, and they're sitting as a 500 club kind of, as we're getting deeper into April. So, you're going to expect Sandy to turn it around. You're going to expect Jazz to turn it around. I do think, again, it's probably like the fielding element of Jazz, like surprise, surprise, bit like Jesus Sanchez, where, he struggled a little bit offensively as he started to work out what was happening in center. Jazz is definitely starting to click a bit in center too. But it is like Sandy, it's surprising in many ways. But I mean, let's talk about him. We'll come back maybe to Braxton, because I do want to talk about Brax as well. But with Sandy, though, Mel was on the broadcast yesterday, and during the broadcast, like we're seeing, during the whole game, it was a Sandy Alcantara we haven't seen for a long time, where he was just like pumping high gas up in the zone, looking for strikeouts. Normally, Sandy's down in the zone, looking for those weak grounders, quick innings. It was completely the opposite yesterday with Sandy Alcantara. Mel comes on the broadcast, says, listen, Sandy's kind of struggling right now. He's out there just grinding. So this is not the Sandy we're used to, but it is a reminder to us as fans that Sandy's not a robot. He's not out there just like, automatic, able, it just has everything under control. Like, there's always things that Sandy has to work on. There's always things that everyone has to work on. And it shouldn't be taken for granted, but just has been a surprising and curious start from Sandy Alcantara overall, I'd say.
Yeah, on the whole, it is a case of I don't have any major concerns. It's not like he's changed who he is. He's deserving of a bad spell. He's had such a good run of it over the last 2-3 years. And you're right, these are human beings. The if Sandy could be as elite as he's been for years and years and years, that just doesn't sound right, does it? At the end of the day, like, if he goes into a game and he's not feeling one of his pitches or two of his pitches, that happens. It happens all the time. It happens all across baseball. We get so used to seeing this dominance that you forget that this isn't a given. I mean, you have to work so hard. You have to be so consistent to achieve such a goal. So for someone to just continue to do it for years is an impossibility. Sandy's fine. He'll be fine. He's got to put. He'll put the work in. It's not like he's got his payday and he's given up and he's not trying anymore. Sandy's going to be working every single second. He's got Malin in his corner, who's the perfect guy to be having, and he'll turn it around. It might not be the next start. It might not be the start after that, but I have no concerns that Sandy is still not the elite pitcher that he always has been. And anyone that's struggling with that as an idea is foolish. Sandy is a stud.
Sandy is a stud. 0% concerns with Sandy Alcantara. Absolutely. The funny thing is, you go back to yesterday's game, and there's one crucial moment that I think completely changes everything for Sandy, and it's that a similar maybe that we had. I can't remember what game it was, but the play I'm talking about is the grounder. He runs to first base. Coop with a nice feed. Actually, Coop with a nice play, diving. Gathers it in. It's a simple toss. Coop makes the right toss. Sandy just, it hits the bottom of his glove and he doesn't make the play. And as soon as that happens, the ball rolls a bit clear of him. And he completely switches off. Like, he forgets to go and think, actually, this is a live ball. I need to go and get it. Next thing is the guy stood at second base. And it's the type of play that you could see straight away. Sandy just was blowing up mentally about this. He was really unhappy with himself because it was on him. Like, it was truly on him. It was his mistake. And as soon as he made it, you could see mentally something happened because he just completely forgot about the ball. Next thing is home run given up as well. And, that kind of compounded it for him. And so I do wonder how differently things could have played out. It was clear that he didn't have his AA game yesterday, but he was still doing things, and finding ways to get people out. And that's what I said to you preseason, mate, as well, really, was I do wonder if Sandy, when he needs it, he has the ability to flip the switch or flip the script into another type of pitcher. I think we saw that yesterday. It wasn't the defense that was the problem. It was he didn't have his full repertoire. So we saw him going, I'm going to lean on gas up and just blow the back doors off everyone here because that's all I've got. That's all I've got left today, which is interesting. But I do wonder, that one play aside, if it would have been a different outcome yesterday overall for Sandy. What about you?
Yeah, one thing interesting to that for me, for that play, obviously the ball, as you said, hit off the heel of the glove. And then he knew that he hadn't got the ball. He knew that he had it misplayed the ball.
Yeah.
Still put his foot on the base.
Yeah.
Just the instinct of getting that out, it made me laugh that he was still automatic doing that part of the job, even though he knew he hadn't got the ball. Yeah, look, Sandy, we spoke in the off-season, didn't we, about the fears of a lesser defense and whether Sandy, as a ground baller, would become more of a strikeout guy or try to strike out more people, be less efficient with his pitches doing so. But I think Sandy has the raw stuff to be a strikeout pitcher, and we saw that when he was struggling, still being able to do that. But it's not the way Sandy pitches because it's not efficient. He knows that he can get outs consistently, getting those ground balls, especially when he needs that double play. Yeah. So for to see Sandy pitch like that, to me, there's a positive there. That on a given night, he can, as you said, ramp it up and get those strikeouts when he needs to. And it's all a learning experience. He's still relatively young. I mean, it's crazy to say we've got all this young pitcher and Sandy's that established contracted guy, but he's 27 for Christ's sake. So he's still learning. And he's still not a complete article as a pitcher. Pitchers always learn more. But unfortunately, as they learn more, they get physically weaker. Yeah. Which isn't literally natural. But for Sandy, he's going to continue to learn, and I think there are positives to take out of that. There's also positives to take out from the fact that the numbers aren't Sandy-like, but it's not like he's rocking a 15 ERA and he's walking guys left, right, and centre. This is a blip on his road for an elite pitcher. This isn't a case where you look at it and you have major concerns for him as a pitcher going forwards.
Absolutely none. Absolutely none. Let's talk about our good friends over at Ultimate Pro Baseball GM, as I've already mentioned. But coming after, I want to talk about Braxton because he is doing a stellar job. And also, we have to talk about this bullpen. The only word that I think is fair to use is just nails. This pen is nails. It's the best pen we've had in years, and I absolutely love to see it. With that being said, the graphics are up, guys. They're already queued up, which is good to see. Listen, the first question is, have you downloaded it? I've been talking about this app now for a good couple of weeks. Pro Baseball GM. Get it downloaded firstly. It's free. It's a free app. Free baseball app. Pro Baseball GM. It is a fun and cool experience, no doubt about it. I think I know no, I don't think I know everything. I think I can make some right decisions being a GM. What this game has proved to me is it isn't that easy. It's fair to say. It's fair. I'll own it. I'm sure many of you have thought the same. But this game allows you to manage every aspect of a franchise, playing through seasons, leading your franchise, and fans, of course, to glory as you build a historic dynasty. Dynasty? Dynasty. Unsure. In the simulation, you're responsible for hiring the right coaches and staff, managing finances, scouting and drafting players. You name it, it's got it all. Navigating your franchise through free agency, all the ups and downs of a season. All in this challenging and realistic game world. Ultimate Baseball GM is completely free, playable offline. You can play on the go as and when you want. Locked On Marlins listeners, here's the kicker. Get 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo Locked On in the game store. So make sure to check it out. Download the game, go to probaseballgm.com, scan the code, which is on the screen, or look it up on the app stores. That is probaseballgm.com. Ultimate Fantasy Baseball GM. Start your dynasty today. Wonderful. I wish in my team I had Braxton Garrett in there. I'm telling you. Braxy Garrett. Shaun, I must say I want to talk about Garrett, and for me, it's no surprise that he is flourishing in this fifth starter role. It's the role that I wanted him in anyway at the start of the year when they were talking about this long man piece. It just never made any sense to me personally. Like, I get it. There's nothing to prove at AAA. But I am not stunned at all that Braxton Garrett is doing well in the fifth starter role. And I think actually it really balances the Marlins rotation out, actually, having Braxy there. For me, Luzardo aside, Braxy has been the second most impressive pitcher in this Marlins rotation. I mean, again, we're talking about the bottom part of the rotation. If it clicks, this Marlins team can win games. Braxy's pitching well, and the Marlins are winning games. What a formula.
Yeah, it's a very nice position to be in. Yeah, Braxton's pitched really, really well. The control has been elite. Yeah. He's not a massive strikeout guy. You know, it's going to be 8 to 9 K per 9, which, don't get me wrong, it's fine. Yeah. But it's not one of these gaudy 13, 14 K per 9 guys. But when you piece that together with those low walks, it's insane. And for me, the one concern I'd have with Garrett, and the fact that he's young and he's still not got a large length of pitching. You know, you can't just go from pitching 115 to 200. It just doesn't happen. Yeah. But the fact that they're getting some early length out of him, he was 1 out away from 6 innings. If you can get 6 or 5, if you can get 5+ solid innings from your number 5 pitcher, then that is insane. It sometimes, specifically with the Marlins, you get past your first and your second pitcher, and in your third, fourth, and fifth, you're like, well, what can we really do today? The Marlins have got a really deep rotation at the moment that you can go into the 5th game with Garrett and be really happy that you're going to get a close game. The Marlins have every opportunity to win a game with him on the mound as they do anyone else.
Yeah, no doubt.
Is he overperforming? Can he keep it up for the rest of the season? How far into the season can he go? We don't know. But for me, every start that you get from him, that's well above average. You know, you keep just ticking that off and go, yep, I'll take that, and until the juice runs out.
Yeah, absolutely. We just hope the juice never runs out with Braxy Garrett. For those that like these types of stats, I must say this one caught my eye. And his Braxton Garrett's FIP right now is 187. 187 FIP for Braxy Garrett, which is mighty impressive. An XFIP of 279. So, okay, slightly overperforming perhaps in some ways, but it's still ridiculously low. Braxy has been sensational. And I think it is a huge boost for this Marlins rotation, the fact that your fifth starter is to the ability of Braxton Garrett. And again, going back to the point I made in the offseason, that value would be lost as a long man, to be honest with you. Like, there's other long men that can fill that role. Like, to have a fifth starter that can do this just lengthens this rotation and gives you an opportunity to win more games, fundamentally. A lot of other clubs are looking at their fifth starter going, boy, oh boy, this is dicey. And I don't think us as Marlins fans are looking at Braxton Garrett going, this is a dicey game. You're like, we're feeling confident. Braxton's going. I'm thinking, let's roll. I'm more concerned about Edward Cabrera, to be honest with you, who's number 3 in the rotation. Just worried about how many walks it's going to be. But boy, oh boy, Braxy's been wonderful. Let's do the final ad, and then we will talk maybe briefly about the bullpen. But we are running long on time, which is my fault as always. But nevertheless, it's time to talk about So Rare. And if you've seen this one out there, loads of people talking about this on Twitter, which is great. It's a revolutionary fantasy baseball game and marketplace, transforming fans into owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players across all the 30 Major League Baseball teams. Unlike other fantasy baseball platforms, So Rare managers truly own their fantasy experience, collecting, buying, selling, and competing with player cards against global opponents to win epic rewards. Win or lose, you still own your cards. There's no cost to play as well, which sounds sensational. The game weeks, they happen twice weekly with a span of a 3 to 4 day cycle. At the end of the game week, So Rare MLB managers who rank at the top or near top of the leaderboards win a variety of rewards, which include So Rare scarcity cards, game tickets, merchandise, signed jerseys, and of course, that Avisel Garcia VIP experience. Prizes may vary depending on the competition and the location, perhaps. Head to sorare.com/lockedon. For those that are wondering how the hell do I spell So Rare, it is S-O for so and rare as in R-A-R-E. sorare.com to draft your team a free player card, set your lineup, and start competing today to win epic rewards. Again, that's sorare.com/lockedon to start playing today. Sounds amazing. Seen a lot of people talking about that actually, and it looks a lot of fun. So get stuck into that. Shaun, let's talk about this bullpen briefly. This may actually spill over into the next episode because I feel like we can't do it justice in a brief stint, and I did want to be relatively tight on time. However, the bullpen nails, brother, absolutely nails, and the fact that they are, I don't think they've given up a run for weeks. It feels, but this is a bullpen that like no other that I've seen for many, many years, mate. Truly. Honestly, there's so many guys in this pen that have stuff, strikeout ability, length, you name it, and they can all do different things. All these guys, this is the thing, the Skip Schumacher thing about its, matchups and roles. He's being true to his word, Skip. These guys are all coming in different roles, innings everywhere, and it's just working right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been crazy. Normally we talk about the idea of a batting lineup having 1 or 2 guys hot at one moment, but sometimes you need more than that. This bullpen's in a similar way. You don't expect to have 4 or 5 arms pitching fantastically in the same stretch of period of time. I think, with the exceptions of Tanner Scott and I'm blanking on his name now, Nardi.
Yeah,
everyone else has pitched phenomenally. The long men that they've brought up have done their job. Yes, the ERAs might be big, but they gave you that depth.
George Soriano, to be fair, though, boy, oh boy, what a debut for him.
He actually pitched really well. But Puck, for me, he came in, got the win the other day, 2 innings. The saves. At the moment, he is your stopper. He's your closer. He's your guy you bring in when you need. If it's the 8th, you need to bring him in the 8th. Be damned. You need to win this game. Let's get your best pitcher out there. Yeah. Other than that home run he gave off in his first appearance, been clean ever since. It's been a delight to watch.
It really has. We'll talk about when you talk about the pen more because there's actually so much to get into. One final one for this episode, and for those listening, going, well, when's this next episode? We've got to wait all the way to next week for Shaun Barrett. No, episode's coming straight at you. Double episode with Shaun Barrett. So that's good to know. Tanner Scott was rolled out there with a save opportunity, mate. So Floro had been used, Puck had been used. They were kind of, they were the 8th, 9th guys. A lot of work and a lot of really efficient work from them boys. All of a sudden, the Marlins on a come from behind day where, again, it was like just eking it out and they found a way to get it done. Tanner Scott ends up coming in the 9th, mate. How were the nerves at that point?
The nerves were, I mean, from what we've seen from him so far, pretty bad nerves. The fact that he didn't walk a single batter was
no walks.
A shock, quite frankly. And there are a lot of people out there on Marlins Twitter, which is always fun, saying, he's fixed, he's back, he's, we know that stuff plays. I mean, he hasn't so far, but we know that stuff is going to play. He's going to strike out 12 plus K per 9. And if he can get the walks down, but at the moment, he's literally striking out as many people as he's walking. So that's never a recipe for success. But again, I mean, the fact that he came in, got locked down the save, it is a case of the Marlins at the moment are on a real blue streak.
Yeah. May they really like that? For me, that just summed up this Marlins team in the early part of the going. Like, they have had 5 tough series all on the bounce. Like, every team that they've played against is a competing team. And it's been tough games, but they're finding ways to win. They're leaning on the bullpen because, let's be honest, the rotation hasn't been firing. The offense in the main hasn't been firing, but the bullpen absolutely has been firing. And the bullpen is carrying this team right now in many ways, which I don't think I've ever said that sentence ever before when talking about the Marlins. And I've been covering the Marlins since 2017. So that just sums it up. Next episode, mate, when we get into it, I have an apology to make to one of the bullpen arms. So I'm going to make that apology on that episode. But boy, oh boy, this Marlins pen just looks so spicy. And the Baseball Savant pages back it up too, no doubt. Guys, thanks for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. Thanks for joining me today, particularly to the everydayers. Like I mentioned, if you are listening and you do listen to every episode, hit the comment section on YouTube. I'd love to hear from you guys. As you know, it's 5 episodes a week. We are pumping them out for you, and it's a lot of fun covering this Marlins team right now. It's even that fun that even ticket promos create chaos. That just sums up the Marlins and how fun they can be. I'm going to be back tomorrow, and I'm also back with Shaun Barrett. I'm going to carry on the talk about the bullpen. I'm going to dig into some of these offensive guys too. We need to talk about Jazz. No slander, but we need to talk about this 40% K rate for Jazz Chisholm Jr. We need to talk about Brian De La Cruz absolutely tearing it up in the cleanup spot. And we need to talk about Jesus Sanchez. And it looks a little bit too similar to 2022 for my liking. What do the Marlins do with Jesus Sanchez? All coming up on tomorrow's episode. See you then.